A very good morning from the circuit to Barcelona-Catalunya here. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and what a way to go racing with over 50 Renault Clio Cup cars here for 25 minutes plus a lap. Here it is myself, Peter Mackay, and Joe Bradley in the commentary booth, ready to take you through what I'm sure will be a fascinating encounter. We had a real cracker last night, Joe, under the, well, not under the floodlights, we didn't need them. It was under the sunset, the Barcelona sunset.
We drove into the sunset last night, and here we are in the beautiful blue skies here in Barcelona. And you know what? If this morning's race is half as good as yesterday evening's race, it's going to be a cracker. It was absolutely awesome. And as we said last night, pure race driving from all of these drivers.
It's a very simple formula. Renault Clio RS line Cup car, 200 horsepower, just over 1,000 kilograms in weight, and a great even platform to go racing. Conditions wise here, as we mentioned, absolutely perfect. Nice pleasant temperatures, 14 degrees in the air. It will get warmer as the race goes on across the next 25 minutes as we head towards the middle of the day. But what a race we had yesterday, and it was Gabriele Torelli, the champion-elect really, who managed to usurp the established superstar of Clio Cup racing in Nico Milan. It was a ding-dong battle from start to finish.
He's had a fantastic 2024. He's won the last two Clio Cup races. He won, of course, last night, but he also won the previous race at Manicourt. And the first race at Manicourt, he was second. He's won now 6 races and 5 second places. The lowest place position he has finished is 6th. The rest of the time, he's finishing either on the top step or the second step of the podium. And Gabriele Torelli has been absolutely the man to beat in 2024. And that continues this morning, Peter, because he will start on the front row of the grid.
It was a hugely exciting qualifying session. There was a red flag quite late on in the qualifying session, and it left a 2.5-minute shootout. When they went into that 2.5-minute shootout, Nico Milan was on pole. He's going to start third. That gives you an idea. Gabriele Torelli and David Pouget had, to the thousandth of a second, an identical time. That gives you an impression just how tight it's going to be in this race. David Pouget, he didn't start off that well, didn't qualify that well for yesterday's race, but he came on really strong in the second half of the race. He'll start right up the sharp end, so he could be a threat. He'll definitely be in that leading bunch, I think.
Well, it was hard to pick a winner, wasn't it, all the way to the flag, really, until Torelli managed to break free. And the reason he managed to break free was because the cars behind him, Milan and Mikovic and Pouget, they were kind of squabbling over that real estate, and because of that, it allowed him to break that edge and just get that clearance that he needed to kind of alleviate the pressure. I say alleviate the pressure. What was it at the end? I think it was only 0.6. I think it was a couple of cars' lengths. That was it. That was the cushion that he had. Nothing at all. Blink of an eye.
That was as large as the gap got the whole race, definitely, just at the flag. The battle for the Challenger class was equally fierce. That was led by Nikola Milikovic, and he is going to start from pole in class 5th overall. A great run from Nikola there. He'll be one to watch in that silver and yellow number 11 car. And over 50 cars working their way all round actually right back to the final corner here at the circuit, the Barcelona-Catalunya.
Another driver we should not forget to mention, of course, starting 4th, so starting just behind that front row, is Anthony Gerardo. He's a 3-race winner this season, 2 second places as well. He's currently 4th in the championship, and it's that vice champion position that's still very much up for grabs between Nicola Milan, David Pouget and Anthony Gerardo, and it's all about these points that they're going to gather. Yesterday evening was important, Gerardo finishing up there, and this morning even more so, with the championship coming to an end very soon in a couple of rounds.
A huge prize on offer here for your overall champion. The prize is a brand new Renault Clio Cup race car plus €5,000 plus 5 race entry fees plus a test in an Alpine A110 Cup car. And if that isn't good enough, you could alternatively take part in 3 fully funded races in the Alpine Europa Cup. I've said it last night, I'll say it again, Joe. Prize drives, having that incentive is so important in any category of motorsport for the competitor. If they succeed, they can keep going regardless.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, in reality there are only a handful of drivers who really see that prize as a reality. The other competitors, we've got 51 cars starting this race. The majority of the competitors are here to have just that, a motor race, and they will get a lot of satisfaction and enjoyment wherever you are in what is these days called a career path or a journey in motorsport. You will find someone in that 50-car field to race with. You'll find someone of the same experience and ability, the same car performance. Now, the car performance, talking of that, Alpine and Renault Sport do a fantastic job of keeping these cars within the regulations. I'm familiar with that. I ran Clio Cup teams in the UK series. All right, it was way back, but still, they still have the same protocols and processes. The engines are sealed, the gearboxes are sealed, the majority of the parts are sealed, and you can only replace those parts with parts acquired and purchased from Alpine. So that's not just that, and the reason behind that is not to make a lot of money. That's just a nice little add-on for the company, but it's to keep things regular, because guess what, Peter? There is some innovative engineers out there who will try and squeeze the regulations in the spec formula classes and will eke out, because in a spec formula you only need a minute amount of advantage over the other cars, and that will show massively. So like I said, that all adds up to pure racing. And it's all down to the driver, because the cars should, in concept, be exactly the same.
In theory, they are. Yeah, they're all built in Alpine and Dieppe. Well, it's an iconic factory. I had a Renault Sport Clio RS200. It was a 2010, and it came out of that Dieppe factory, and I was quite proud of it.
Yes,
I was quite, and one of the best, if not the best, car I've ever had. Certainly value for money, by far and away the best car I've ever owned. Fantastic handling, and the Renault One Make series is something that you've got to wind the clock all the way back, nearly 60 years to 1966, when the R6 Gordini Cup was founded, and that produced some amazing drivers like Jean Ragnotti, who went on to great success in rallying amongst other things, and René Metka, who won the Dakar Rally for Porsche in the 1980s too. So there's real heritage. The Clios have been going since 1991, and with the Renault Spiders.
Well, before that, Renault 5s.
Yeah.
You know, I remember. I'm old enough to remember Renault 5s.
My mum had a Renault 5. In fact, she got it when I was quite young. Gabriele Torelli will start from pole position alongside David Pouget. Then it's Nico Milon and Anthony Girardo will start on the second row of the grid. Looking at
the third row of the grid then, and it's Nikola Milikovic, Lorenzo Van Rit for Rangoni Corsa, then Mauro Polderman and Alex Lancelotti on row 4. On the fifth row of the grid, it'll be Damiano Pichetti alongside Giacomo Trebi. Then it's Guillaume Wow and Thomas Compa. Row 7, and we've got Ludovicio Longoni, Ronnie Stefani, Eduardo Miranda and Leonardo Adiuni start on row 8. On the ninth row of the grid, it's the switch driver for Stucchi Motorsport, Andreas Stucchi, alongside his compatriot Daniel Nefeller, and Nava and Orlil Renette start on the 10th row. Adam Sasha and Benjamin Carver share row 11, and row 12 is Rennie Steinmetz and Knut Knudsen. Starting on the 13th row of the grid will be Jack Byrne from Ireland alongside Stefan Polderman. Then is Michael Carré and Nico Milon Jr. Row 15 sees Felix Heiberg and Horn, and then Aldo Vincenti Castillo and Christian Ricciarini share row 16. And still they come, we're still not even close to the end of this amazing field. Jaroslav Honzik will start from 33rd on the grid alongside Yusuf Gaber. Then it's Gael Rostin and Nikola Tosic. We're on the 19th row now, where we see Sebastian Gavazza, Michel Fay, Sandro Catini and Samuel Chalin line up behind them on row 20. On row 21, still they come Emir Sarach and Romain Lavaca, and Manuel Stefani and David Pajot are your 22nd row. On to row 23 now, and it's Milan Popovic, Remy Belleville, and then Gabriel Alonso and Rolando Bottocini share rowing 24.
And finally then on the 25th row of the grid is Udo Brunner and Andrea Giarchetti. And finally 51st, Lucas Cartel. 51 cars taking to the start of this 25-minute race. So in the warm-up lap, very important to get heat into the tyres, and Gabriele Torelli, in the true spirit of Jean Ragnotti, getting it absolutely sideways on the second corner of the warm-up lap.
That was deliberate. That was deliberate. Front-wheel drive cars, these Clios, so very, very hard to get in any heat into those rear tyres. That rear axle needs to be just on the edge of rotation as we get through the corner, or else the car will understeer and it'll be very, very difficult to drive. So in these conditions, it's slightly cooler than we saw yesterday evening, just coming up to 20 degrees out there on the track. So the track temperature should be about 27, 28 degrees. Certainly not like a bad day at Snetterton in November, but still it's very, very necessary to be seeing the cars weaving, leaning the car through the turns as we come in, even on the straights, and then really driving hard into the corner just to get that rear axle and those rear tyres up to operating temperature.
This is about as far away from Snetterton in November as you could possibly get in lots of ways. No disrespect to Snetterton, but this is a little bit more pleasant. Let's be honest. Gabriele Torelli using the whole width of this Barcelona circuit to get those, to weave back and forward and get the heat into those front and rear tyres as he makes his way around the final corner. The thing is though, because the cars that are at the front row of the grid, they've actually even more under pressure to get heat in the tyres, because they've got to sit on the grid for the longest amount of time waiting for the 26th row to make their way to the grid. They're going to be sitting there still for a while.
Yeah, I'd like to think that not quite enough time for them to see it. I mean, you know what? The tyres are not going to be where the drivers would like for at least a lap or two. Perhaps getting towards the end of the second racing lap, the drivers will be conscious of that rear end through the corners. They'll be very, very wary, braking into every single corner. And just on turning, they'll be waiting for that rear end to come round. There's an element of rotation that you need to set the car up for, and that helps the car to turn into the corner. And we've got some very fast sweeping bends that you can really lean on the outside edge of both the front tyre. Of course, that's driving and turning, so very easy to get that up to temperature, but you're just dragging the rear axle along. I mean, some people say the rear axle in a front wheel drive car is just there to stop the bumper trailing along the ground, because it's just going to follow where the front wheels take it. It's a little bit more complex than that, I would think.
A shade, yes, a shade more complex, but the drivers make their way to the grid then. Gabriele Torelli will start on pole position on the outside of the grid. On the inside of the grid is car number 1, David Pouget, who didn't quite qualify as well yesterday and had good pace, but was sort of a little bit too little too late to get through and challenge for the lead. But he's right where he wants to be at the front of the grid there to try and mount a challenge for a race win. Long run, especially in a car, relatively underpowered car, certainly compared to the Alpines that we saw about 20 minutes ago. It's a long run down to turn 1 and a big braking zone as well. Always exciting. They all ready to go. The revs begin to rise. The lights come on. And out they go, green flag here in Barcelona, with Gabriele Torelli leading us away on pole position as they go up through the gears on the run down the hill towards turn 1. And Torelli's just about closed off the line there to David Pouget as they run down into turn 1 braking zone now. Torelli's holding off as Pouget is going to try and go around the outside a little bit later on the brakes, but Torelli lets off the brake and takes the lead there, with Pouget going up. Whoa, Pouget running it a little bit wide onto the exit paint there. So he'll have to rejoin again, and that might allow Nico Milan from 3rd place to take 2nd.
Yeah, everybody making room for everyone else, it seems, through turns 1, 2 and 3. The never-ending turn 3 here, and then down the hill towards that also never-ending turn 4, which is a 180-degree sweeping. I'm not going to call it a hairpin, because it isn't. You turn upon yourself and then very swiftly heading down towards the left-hand hairpin, and we've got cars coming together, side-by-side action. That was the number 48, Nico Milan, who's found himself in the mid-pack almost. There's a gaggle of cars just off the front row, and that's where Milan has found himself. He's kind of broken free, I think, Peter, but he's had to use his elbows to do that.
Really had to get the elbows out there. Nico Milan, not a good start from third on the grid, got pushed back 2 positions by Anthony Girardo and Nikola Milokovic, and had to be very aggressive down into turn 5 to get a move back and back into third, because he can see Torelli and Pouget breaking away in the leading 2 cars. And yeah, Milan really having to push here to try and break away from a huge gaggle pack behind us. Oh, the 2 Dutchmen get together. Car number 10, Mauro Polderman, gets into it with Lorenzo van Riet in the Fabo snack bar car.
Yeah, I think it was Polderman who just found himself being clattered into the braking area for what is the number 10, turn 10 here, which is opened up slightly. It's a slightly different configuration from a couple of years ago, and a lot of the drivers preferring that sweeping turn into the, what I call the stadium section. We've got a car off at the final corner here and off big style into the gravel trap. Not sure he's contacted anything. We'll wait until the dust settles before we assess just what effect that might have on the race. But after all of that, we've had 1 lap completed, and it is Gabriele Torelli starting and beginning this morning where he left off yesterday evening.
Great move from Anthony Girardo there, up into 4th place as they hit the brakes going into turn 1. I think Lorenzo van Riet in that Fabo car has lost a couple of positions there in that little melee as car number 55 off the road and beached in the gravel. I think he had the moment all on his own, you know.
He got it very wide coming out of the penultimate turn 14 and ended up on the gravel. The car then sort of fishtailed left and right, and then that, by the time he got it together, he was already in the gravel trap on the outside of the final turn. So, and he's buried, isn't he? He's buried deep, so it's going to take a bit of a recovery job to get him out of there. Safety car.
René Steinmetz it was who had just got a little bit all tangled up and into the gravel, and he is stuck. Safety car, and that is fantastic news for Nico Milan. That allows the whole field to bunch back together, and that means he doesn't have to put the hard work in to close that gap back down. He'll start right there in the mix. Gabriele Torelli and David Pouget, they'll have seen that safety car board come out and go, oh no, we were nearly away, we nearly escaped.
But look at the gap that they've pulled. The first 2 cars there, Torelli and Pouget, were able to break the gap because behind them all hell was breaking loose, and Nico Milan did all he could to break away from Puccetti, Girardo, Milikovic, Polderman, Van Riet. They were all in a massive pack, squabbling over the same piece of track, and by doing so they were slowing themselves down, allowing Torelli and Pouget to break away. And the sort of gap that we saw, Peter, was going to be very, very difficult for these equally matched Renault Clios to actually come back to. Now the safety car has done the job for them. They will pack back up, and it's all about that restart and timing it. Gabriele Torelli, though, he's been in this situation many times, and he will be already focused on that restart.
So in the other classes, of course, we have the overall and we have the juniors and the challengers. The juniors are for any driver under the age of 22, the challengers from the age of 22 and above, so 22 to 45 years old, excuse me, and then you have the gentlemen's 45 years old and over. Big story in the juniors because Damiano Puccetti is in 5th overall. Critically, at the moment he's 2nd in the championship, 15 points behind, but his nearest championship rival is way down the order in 28th overall and 9th in that class. So that would be, I mean, it was highly unlikely it will finish that way. There will no doubt be other things to happen throughout the race, but that's a big advantage at this stage for your leading junior driver, Damiano Puccetti. Yeah,
Puccetti will have the last thing on his mind will be championship points. Right now, he's in the thrust of it, isn't he? In 5th place overall. Ahead of him is Anthony Girardo. Behind him is Nikola Milikovic. And behind Milikovic is Mauro Polderman. So he's going to have his mirrors full of everybody behind him, and he's going to be focused on those 4 cars in front, especially at this restart.
So on the race start, your championship leader, Gabriele Torelli, was just perfect there, got a good launch away and was able to cover off any kind of run that David Pouget might have had. Pouget tried to loop around the outside on the braking zone for turn 1, but Torelli just let the brake off on the way into the apex. Very clever racetrack craft, but Nico Milan having to be very, very aggressive to try and escape the melee, because if he'd got caught in there for any longer, he could have really lost the leading pair. Luckily, with the safety car right back into the mix now is Nico Milan, a 15-time champion in this category.
The thing I've noticed about Milan is how good he is when the car is very loose. And that will really benefit him in any kind of early stages of any race when everybody's on cold tyres, and really having to be a little bit circumspect. And we see cars clattering together, and that's not deliberate, Peter. That is purely because the cars are slipping and sliding around. They don't actually, you know, they're not going to react the same to the brake pedal or the steering as they will towards the end of this race when everything is hot and everything up to operating temperature. But Nico Milan, he's the driver that can absolutely get to the maximum of his braking efficiency, and hence the car goes down into gaps, and we saw that into turn 4, didn't we? Was that turn 4 or into the hairpin, I think, at turn 5?
Very tight corner.
Where the rear end was literally skipping across the track, backwards and left to right, and there he was channeling down that gap. Here we go, about to get ready for a restart, and it's Torelli who will have to control things to the line.
Well, and Pouget is quite literally sitting on his bumper as they come around towards the final corner, ready to take the restart. Nico Milan there in third, so it's Torelli from Pouget from Milan as they go look towards the green flag, and back on the power they go.
He was well on the power before they turned into the final turn there. And it's a drag race now with Torelli, Pouget, Milan, Gerardo, Puccetti. They are line astern. They fan out in the middle of the straight, but then getting across to the right-hand side and defending that all-important inside line is Gabriele Torelli. And Torelli has enough time to maybe kind of optimize the line into turns 1, through turn 2 now, and then into that never-ending sweeping turn 3. They'll put their foot in now, the throttle will be nailed to the floor, and they've just got to let that car breathe and try and stifle any kind of speed scrub off. And the driver who's done that the best is Torelli, but behind him, look at that, 3 wide.
Milan is back in the melee again, because Anthony Gerardo has gone up the inside at turn 4 and moves up into third place, and straight away Niko Milakovic says, I'll have a bit of that as well. A massive moment here for Gerardo. Gerardo, how did he keep that one straight? Massive moment there going into turn 5. The car was all over the shop. I could have sworn he was going to lose that, Joe, but somehow gathers it together, but that is taking the momentum away. Nico Milan is now absolutely mired in a gaggle of Clios there, and still Torelli and Pouget are clearing off. Yeah,
this is happening again, isn't it? It's kind of deja vu for these drivers. The leaders pulled a huge gap there. The number 12 of Torelli, number 12 in the corner there. Who's that?
Pouget has lost so many positions. Pouget's lost 4 or 6 positions, and then into Lakasha, car number 5. Anthony Gerardo goes up into second position now overall. So it's all happening. So what happened to Gerardo then? He gets hit from the back. He got help from Milan.
Yeah, there was no question. I thought that when I saw the car. The car was into the braking area for 5, and everybody's pushing on everyone else, quite literally and physically. Bumper-to-bumper driving, bumper-to-bumper racing. That's typical Clio Cup. Doesn't matter where you're racing these cars. It's the same everywhere in the world. These are so close that you really do have to race closely.
So Gabriele Torelli leads then, and he is in Dreamland, 1.2 seconds to the good. And the reason why he's in Dreamland is not just the gap, it's because there is such a big pack fighting over second, and that is surely going to slow them down. As Gerardo holding the second position onto the inside there, going into turn 1, trying to hold off the number 11 of Niko Milakovic, who's your leader in the challenge category, going around the outside now at 3. Is he? No. Milan there in 4th. Then it's the 43 of Damiano Puccetti, the leading junior, top 5 overall. Fantastic.
Yeah, he's doing a great job hanging onto the rear bumper of Milan as they head on down to turn 4. Again, very fast entry to this one, so very little speed difference, so the cars have to slot in and sort themselves out. They'll not want to compromise their exit speed, because then we head into this braking area here for a downhill, quite a tight hairpin this one. It's possibly the slowest part of the track here at Barcelona. And then as they accelerate out, they then go uphill, and we've got cars off into the gravel trap at 5. Consternation there in the midfield It's the number 111 of Nikola Tozic. He was
Stuck.
19th. He's certainly not that now, Peter.
No, he isn't, and he's stuck. The front wheel's spinning and can't move in that deep gravel trap. The gravel trap has done its job, but not so good for Nikola Tojic's race, and not so good for race leader Gabriele Torelli, because there's a high likelihood this could bring out the safety car again, and that resets it. But Torelli's just been fantastic on those restarts. He was good off the standing start, good on the safety car restart. He might have to do that again, and indeed the safety car board has come out. So another safety car. We had no safety cars yesterday. Now, did we have one?
Yeah.
So we did, yes. Well remembered, Joe. Glad you're here to keep me right.
Yeah.
But we've had two already.
I was about to say, quite common practice, safety cars in Clio Cup racing. And Torelli, being at the front of the field, will be very, very familiar with the process. And we saw how he dealt with that restart. There was just all sorts of consternation kicking off, and his cars coming together into that very tight hairpin. They'd have concertinaed up, Peter, and there was just no room for anyone to go, and contact was inevitable. Some of the cars made it out of the gravel trap, but unfortunately for the 111 numbered car of Tozic, who is out and despondent. Nikola Tozic, despondent on the tyre wall there. His race is over, and his car still in the gravel, beached very deeply, but the snatch tractor will be very soon on the scene, Peter. They've been very, very efficient here at Barcelona in recovering cars and getting on with the racing. With 12.5 minutes remaining, we still got a chunk of time for these drivers to get another go at it.
Poor old Nikola Tozic. That is absolutely gutting. He was leant over the barrier, almost sobbing into the tyre wall. Just gutted. And when you've got 51 cars on the grid and you've got that particular narrow part of the circuit, there just simply isn't the real estate to fit that many cars. It's a bit like when a ferry is full, it's full.
And notice it happened on one of the, if not the slowest part of this track. Everybody's going to concertina. But also, being racing drivers in Clio Cup cars, they are looking for that opportunity to make up places, because if the opportunity arises, you can't be hesitant. You've got to go for it. And sometimes that opportunity might be there for just a split second, and then the door is closed, and before you know it, you've made contact, especially at a part of the track like that.
Such a shame, but already the track crew on the go. So resets things again with Gabriele Torelli, who will lead us away. Anthony Girardo is looking racy today. He showed real flashes of brilliance yesterday, but he's right there in second position, right behind our leader. And don't write off Nico Milakovic either in third.
Well, Girardo, remember, 3 race wins to his season so far. That's put him into contention going into the final rounds here of this championship. That's put him into contention for the accolade of being vice-champion, the first driver to finish behind Torelli. But I think, don't you think though, Peter, with Nico Milan's record, everybody's got their crosshairs fixed on Milan, and it's quite an accolade just to beat that man. 15-time champion in this series, and that's quite something, and he is the man to beat. And to beat him not just on the track, but in a overall, you know, in a series of races, that's what everybody is aiming for behind that championship battle, which Torelli has already wrapped up, of course.
Well, you were saying yesterday, Joe, from your team manager days, if you were running a young driver in this series, you would say just copy him. If you're behind him,
Absolutely.
copy him, follow him, learn whatever it is he does, do the same. And Damiano Pichetti in the juniors is going to restart right behind him.
Yeah, and especially in the situation they find themselves now, you can learn so much. And we will see probably an exact copy of how they restarted coming out the previous safety car, where the throttle was nailed pretty much as you turn in at the apex of the final turn. So you're maximizing the acceleration across the line. You're not going to drive up to the line and accelerate. You're going to floor the throttle and nail it, pedal to the metal, and drill the throttle, your throttle foot into the bulk of that car at that point there at the apex of the final turn. Not this time though, we're still recovering cars.
Got another car we didn't realise was involved is Njaerik Knudsen, the Norwegian driver, car number 30, being towed off the circuit at the moment. The TF Performance machine. That's a shame. That's really a shame for him. Now, this car, of course, the Renault Clio Cup RS line has been immortalised in the world of iRacing. I'm a big fan of iRacing. I know you are as well, Joe. And one driver who in this field from the iRacing world, if you like, is Jaroslav Honzik, who's in 25th position, car number 39. He's made up a lot of positions, started in just outside the top 30 in this race, and he's very well known to the YouTube world and sim racing as well, and the GT Omega backed machine. So great experience for him, but great to be able to get some practice on the sim with this very car and on this very circuit as well. It's a really essential tool.
Absolutely, a big supporter of the 24H series, and iRacing will be delighted to have the Clio Cup series here as a support race. Popular series on iRacing this. Have you ever if you want to ruin your iRating and your license grading, have a crack at the Clio Cup series, because it emulates real life. It really does. You know what? The thing is, as much as I go into a Clio Cup race, and I have done a few on iRacing, and I think, right, I'm just going to stay out of it. Nah. When that opportunity arises to go for that gap, you're going to go for it. And invariably you get a 4X, don't you?
No, well, I mean, I remember having a chat with Felipe Fernandez-Laza about this, and he said you can have one of two things on iRacing. You can either have a really good iRating, or you can have a really good safety rating. You can't have both.
Can't have both.
And
no.
he's spot on. He's spot on there. Yeah, it's wonderful. There's so many different types of car now on iRacing, and they're scanned in such amazing detail. So, and yeah, proof of the pudding. We've got a couple of drivers from the iRacing world competing not only here in the Renault Clio Cup, but of course the 24 Hours of Barcelona that we'll have on a little bit later on. So the time's still ticking as we are behind the safety car. Just over 7 minutes left on the clock. This is a time certain race, 25 minutes plus a lap, so a little bit more safety car interruption than we had last night as the field work their way around.
This can either be an advantage or a disadvantage, and at this point behind the safety car there's no way of telling until we're released. If you're Gabriele Torelli, you are going to be focused on trying to get the best start. If you're Anthony Gerardo behind him, you are going to try your damnedest to get past him as quickly as you can at the restart. However, with the experience and the ability of people like Torelli, Milikovic behind him, Nico Milan behind him, and Damiano Puccetti, the first junior, in 5th place overall. We're about to see this unfold, and look at that, Gerardo right on the bumper again of Torelli, but it's going to be the usual drag race. Let's see where they nail the throttle, just turning in, and there the throttle is nailed, Peter.
Back to racing we go then. Green flag in the air, green light on the gantry with just 6 minutes exactly to go. It's going to be a sprint to the line then for Gabriele Torelli, with Anthony Gerardo right in behind them, trying to mirror his teammate car there and get a slipstream for the run down towards turn 1, almost bump drafting the way down the hill, NASCAR style. And Nico Milan is right there in 3rd as well, as moved from David Puget over the number 10 of Mauro Polderman.
Puget seemed to lose contact with Puccetti, who got ahead of him and into 4th. So Puccetti gets the best job done there and moves up the order. As they came across the line, it was Puccetti showing in 4th already and ahead of Puget, who was almost falling into the clutches of Mauro Polderman. And they're still at it, turning into turn 4 there with Polderman. The number 35 is Thomas Compant, his door mirror on the left-hand side of the car flapping in the breeze as he challenges the rear end of Polderman. And alongside Compant has come Jack Byrne, the Irish driver, in 9th place, almost side by side, but then having to sort themselves out by the time they got to the apex of 5.
So just under 5 minutes to go then as we push into the latter point of this race. A thriller here in the Renault Clio Cup. It's a little bit wide there for the number 10 of Mauro Polderman, just over the curb coming on the exit of turn 8, but it's the championship, the champion-elect Gabriele Torelli, who leads from the number 5 of Anthony Gerardo in the white, blue and red machine. Then it's the Castrol liveried car of Nico Milan in 3rd.
Still all sorts of potential, I think we can call that, in the midfield, with cars seeing the clock ticking away as they were behind the safety car, Peter. They know that time is running out for them to improve or indeed maintain their position to maximise their points haul in this round here in Barcelona. But it all looks tidy as they come through the final turn and onto the start-finish straight. It will be 8 laps completed by Torelli. Just behind him is Gerardo, about half a second there. That's quite a gap for Clio Cup. Milan is a further 3/10 behind, and then a great drive here from the current junior champion-elect Damiano Puccetti in 4th place with David Pouget right there on his bumper, though.
Could well be that there's just going to be 3 laps to go, because it's 25 minutes plus a lap, so it's going to be just coming over the line. So there's not a great deal of laps left then, with Torelli leading it away in the number 12 machine with the white, red and black frontage. Then it's the white, red and blue frontage of Gerardo, his teammate, right in behind the Castrol car. The number 48 of Nico Milan is in 3rd, and it's almost a little bit of the calm before the storm, I think, at the front, Joe. They're all just kind of running line astern at the moment, which is a little different to what we saw last night.
Well, dare I use that old cliche of mine, a high-speed game of chess taking place at the front of the field. It's certainly a high-speed game of, well, I think kind of kickboxing or something going on in the midfield, because it's anybody's race there. You would not want to be in that midfield, certainly on iRacing. There's a few 4Xs kicking off there, and maybe somebody's iRacing license up for grabs as we've got more cars off into the gravel. Oh, just put your hands together, everyone, and keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully he doesn't get beached. And unfortunately, I think he is beached. It's the number 219 that is down the order, and he's gone off again at that notorious turn 5 where everybody concertina together, and it looks like that could well be another safety car to retrieve that car, as it's well indeed buried into the gravel. We're still green though now, Peter, as we come round to complete what will be 9 laps here, just coming into the penultimate turn. And then Torelli, look at that gap. He's going to have that across the line.
He's got about a car. He's got a car about a car length gap now. So it's going to be 2 laps to go, because safety car indeed. Well, it would have been 2 laps to go, but with safety car coming out, because remember it's 25 minutes plus a lap, so it would have been 2 laps to go. But with the safety car coming out now, so we've got a problem at turn 9. We're hearing a car has gone over on its side. We'll get more information on it as we see it. But
that's Eduardo Miranda.
Oh no!
Dropping down the order. The other car that was involved in that one was the Milan Popovic, the number 219. That was the car we saw buried in the it's stranded in the gravel trap there. He's dropping down the order as they cross the line as well. So we thought that might be the case going into that second restart of the day, and this will certainly be to the flag, I would think, Peter. I think we're probably going to finish under safety car conditions.
I hate to admit it, but I think so. It was Eduardo Miranda gone over on the exit of turn 9. That's a very quick corner. That's the fast, sort of blind right-hander going on to the back straight on the run down towards La Caixa. That's a shame. We just can have a bit of a safety car interrupted race here. It can happen, and you cannot. There is no other way to deal with it. If a car has got beached in the gravel, there needs to be an intervention vehicle come in and move that car out of the gravel. Therefore, the field has to be behind the safety car. There is no other way to do it, as that 219 car of Milan Popovic is just beached, unfortunately.
It's for safety, obviously, but it's also for the safety of the car. I remember when I started racing a million years ago, if a car was beached like that on the trackside, you got a yellow flag, and then once everyone had seen the yellow flag and saw the car off, you were aware that the car was off, so the last thing you would do is potentially put your car off as well. However, it's a little bit different these days, thankfully, because how many cars did we used to see 20, 30 years ago that would be stranded there, and then somebody else would come along, your car would be undamaged, you've had a harmless spin, but then some clown would careen into you and write your car off, and you weren't even sat in it, you were on the tyre barrier watching it all unfold. I actually, as a as a car owner, you would prefer this kind of sterile situation behind the safety car to retrieve people's property out of that gravel. Unfortunately, it just stops everything, doesn't it? And it will be going into the final lap, I think, Peter, with 0 time on the clock. I think the safety car might take them round, or will they indeed show the checkered flag? Any checkered flag being unfurled? No, is the message I'm receiving there.
No, so the only thing that they might do is, because it's 25 minutes plus a lap, it may be a 1 lap shootout. It could be that they do the extra lap after they come in the safety car.
But still flashing.
No, I don't think so, but that would potentially be an option. But we'll keep a close eye on the flag stand to see if the checkered flag is shown. The time is elapsed. The 25 minutes is complete.
You were just willing that safety car to pull in there to get 1 more lap of racing, weren't you?
Or a green-white checkered. So the safety car lights are still on. Now, the flag being waved, is that a checkered flag or a yellow flag?
No, it's a yellow flag.
It's a yellow flag. So we keep going around then. So that might...
It's a final lap. We're going to finish the final lap. We're going to finish this race behind the safety car, and the safety car is going to bring this field of Clios around, and they will be greeted next time by, while we continue to retrieve cars from the gravel trap. And that car was on its side, the number 75, so quite understandably the safety car was deployed. The driver was fine, he hopped out of the car. That car now being put back on its wheels. I'd be very, very dubious of firing that car up and getting it underway. Eduardo Miranda there climbing back into the car, suited and booted. I'd be very dubious to fire that up, because the oil could have come out the top of the motor and all sorts there.
So what happened? How did that car end up on its side? We don't know, but we do know that
fast in the gravel, Peter.
Yes, okay. Well done, thank you. And four marshals, brilliant marshals here from the Royal Automobile Club de Catalunya, have tipped the car over. The rescue truck is in position. They're hooking it up, and hopefully they'll pull that car back on the pickup truck's power, not its own. As you say, the oil is probably not where it needs to be in that car.
I'll be shouting into the radio, do not fire that car up. We need to check that.
Listen to Team Boss. So we've got the fielder coming around by the safety car. Nothing is coming up on the time screen yet to say if it's the last lap yet. So we'll confirm. Have we seen a last lap board?
Yeah, it's final lap on the timesheets. There's
I see a red flag being prepared, so that would be a result then. Gabriele Torelli, it's
7th win.
What a dream season.
He's having a cracking season, and you know what? He didn't inherit that lead. He controlled that lead from the very outset. So it's not like he inherited the lead from a safety car situation. He was in the lead of this race at the safety of both safety cars, and he continued to lead. He led off the restarts. He controlled the front of the field there. Anthony Gerardo will finish in 2nd place, and Nicola Milan will finish 3rd. So that's your podium positions, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Great drive though, Peter, from Damiano Pacetti, who finishes 4th overall and is the first junior driver. Not far behind him was David Pouget, and then not far behind Pouget was the next of our 2 junior drivers, Mauro Polderman and Thomas Compa, 6th and 7th overall for those 2. The first of the challengers was 8th overall, and that's Guillaume Mayo in the number 99. And then Jack Byrne, the 4th of our junior finishers. Jack Byrne from Ireland, number 86, finishes 9th and rounding off the top 10 overall. 2nd of our challenge class, Giacomo Trebbi in the number 16.
That's great stuff there for Jack Byrne as well, because he didn't have a good day yesterday, had problems yesterday, so to be able to get back into the top 10, that's really important for his challenge in the junior championship as well. From our position in the commentary box here, just on the start-finish line, we can see a checkered flag being prepared, so it will be another win for Gabriele Torelli in what has been a complete dream season. The safety car pulls away, and Torelli will lead the field through to the checkered flag. Indeed, the checkered flag is being prepared in the flag stand. The checkered flag is waved, and Gabriele Torelli then is your winner from Anthony Girardo, and Nico Milan rounds out the podium as they all race their way to the checkered flag.
Well, the thing is there, you could have been caught napping there if you were expecting, because what happened there, the safety car pulled in and we basically raced from the final corner to the line. So if you were napping, Peter, and you weren't burying the throttle pedal into the bulkhead into the final turn, you would have been, we're still under safety car conditions, but they certainly didn't look like that coming across underneath us.
They didn't want to take the chance,
did they? Absolutely flat chat there.
No, they didn't want to take the chance, but result is the same. Gabriele Torelli, 2 wins from 2 here in Barcelona. A perfect weekend for the Italian, and yeah, to be able to not only lead and win this championship, but to lead by such a margin from a series legend like Nico Milan, it's really, really impressive. And of course, the Renault Sport and Alpine pyramid you can follow. You can go from Renault Clio up to Alpine A110 Cup, up through GT4 racing as well. So there is a real set pyramid that you can follow, or you can keep going. You can keep cracking on in the Renault Clio Cup, the Renault RS Line Cups, and with a championship win, you'll get a brand new car, a brand new Renault Clio Cup car, as well as €5,000, 5 race entry fees, and a test in an Alpine A110 Cup car. What a prize.
So we stay under safety car conditions, but the safety car comes into the pits, so they don't spoil the finish photo. And then we race across the line in that, and that the race order will not change. Even if you weren't caught napping, you would just be down the order in the photograph, but you would still be where you were at the previous lap.
It's good for the photograph, yeah. Important to get the.
You don't want to finish behind a safety car.
No,
on the photograph.
Definitely not. Particularly when it's not a Renault safety car as well. It's a different brand of safety car. It's the circuit safety car too. So, yeah, good photo for the album and for the press release as well, of course. So. We've our support races here are complete. The Alpine Elf Europa Cup, fantastic action in that. The Renault Clio Cup Series, and of course then in just over an hour's time, the green flag will wave for the 25th 24 Hours of Barcelona.
Well, the Clio Cup field are making their way around back into the pit lane, and it's a very busy pit lane at the moment because all of our 24H Series teams are wheeling their cars down to the fueling area to prepare for their 24-hour race, or indeed their first fuel tank full of fuel for the 24 hours. Meanwhile, the Clios peel off into the pit lane. Gabriele Torelli will line his car up behind that number 1 board, and in fine style, 7th win of the season for him. He's already clinched the championship, so our champion-elect pretty much, and he will get to celebrate with his team in fine style.
Yeah, great reception there for Gabriele Torelli as he comes into the pits. And it didn't, I mean, there was quite a lot of safety car intervention there, but he had to keep doing the job. He had to keep pulling away, keep pulling off that safety car restart, and not get taken out there. Just really professional job there from Gabriele Torelli, and he has a dance with his teammate. Fantastic stuff, Anthony Girardo.
That's the Rangoni Corsa team, who have had a cracking year here. They've got a great driver in Gabriele Torelli. They've broken up the running order a little bit by beating Nico Milan, who has been the man to beat in this category of racing in the Clio Cup Series across Europe. And Torelli has become the man to beat, hasn't he, Peter? It's the Rangoni team putting out a really good car. They've really got to grips with getting this Clio to work very well, and it's all down to Torelli in how he drives the car to maximise every opportunity, and you really do have to do that. It's a very pure form of racing, as I've said, and the drivers become a really important element to whatever performance level you're running at.
So let's take a look then at the results of our 51 car grid here in the Renault Clio Cup Series. Gabriele Torelli then your winner, from Anthony Girardo and Nico Milon. They make up your podium. They'll spray the champagne in a moment. Then it's Damiano Pichetti, David Pouget, Mauro Polderman, Thomas Compagnie, Guilhem Mau, Jack Byrne and Giacomo Trebi round out the top 10. Then it's Ronnie Stefani, Alex Lancilotti, Lorenzo Van Riet and Leonardo Arduini round out the top 14. Then it's Benjamin Kovas, Christian Ricciani, Andreas Stucchi, Adam Sasha, Mikel Carré. Then it was Jaroslav Honzik. Good fight from him up to 20th position, a top 20. He'll be pleased with that. Lucas Cartel was 21st. Then it's Youssef Gaber, Ludovico Longoni, Felix Heiberg, Nava, Stefan Polderman, Daniel Neifeller and Horn.
29th and down over is David Pajot, Samuel Chalin, Sebastian Gavazza, Nicola Junior Milan, Gael Rostand, Manuel Stefani, Andrea Cericetti finishes in 35th. 36th was Emma Sarach, Roman Lavacat, Remy Belleville, Michel Fay, Gabriel Alonso, Nikola Milikovic ending up down the order in the number 11, and in 43rd down to 51st. Azudo Brunner, Aldo Vicente Castillo, René Steinmetz, Sandro Catini, Eduardo Miranda, Milan Popovic, Aurelien René, Nikola Tozic and Nutarek Knudsen.
Well, it was a fantastic race there here in the Renault Clio Cup Series, and another masterclass from Gabriele Torelli, your double winner in Barcelona. Well, a dance in Parc Fermé for our podium finishers, and your champion Gabriele Torelli goes to Paul Ricard with full confidence and a big old championship lead. Join us on the 4th, 5th and 6th of October in the south of France in beautiful Paul Ricard for the next round. But from us all here at Barcelona and from everyone, the Renault Clio Cup Series, thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Goodbye.